This WNBA offseason killed a lot of dumbass narratives, right? It really did. And I hope they're gone for good.
Remember when Sheryl Swoops said nobody wanted to play for the Indiana Fever? Well, DeWanna Bonner just made her eat those words. After 6 months of silence on Twitter, Bonner didn't just sign with the Fever, she completely destroyed that narrative about their toxic fan base. While everyone was busy claiming Indiana was basketball's no-go zone, Bonner was putting pen to paper, and she's not alone. Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and Sydney Colson all chose Indiana too. So what happened to all those experts who swore the Fever were doomed? They've gone mysteriously quiet, haven't they? Remember when everyone said the Indiana Fever was basketball's radioactive zone? That narrative just crumbled faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. For months, we've been bombarded with this idea that Indiana was the last place any WNBA player would want to call home. And who was leading this charge? None other than basketball legend Sheryl Swoops. This wasn't just some random Twitter rumor. Swoops, a Hall of Famer with serious credibility, went on record painting this picture of the Fever as a toxic wasteland players were desperately trying to escape. In her own words, she claimed people in the Fever organization were saying, "This ain't where I want to be." She literally told the world that players were looking for the exit signs. But have you noticed the suspicious timing of when all this started? The anti-Indiana campaign kicked into high gear right after the Fever drafted Caitlin Clark. Suddenly, this team that nobody paid much attention to became the most watched squad in the WNBA. Viewership skyrocketed, attendance numbers exploded, and all of a sudden we started hearing about how toxic the environment had become. Interesting coincidence, don't you think? The narrative spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Every day brought a new hot take about how Fever fans were too intense and how players supposedly couldn't handle the pressure of playing in Indiana. Analysts and former players doubled down, creating this echo chamber where the idea of Indiana as a basketball danger zone became accepted as fact rather than the fiction it actually was. What's wild is how the entire off-season conversation got hijacked by this narrative. Instead of talking about actual basketball, the game these players are paid to play,